That's Laura Marling and Nothing Not Nearly from her Semper Femina album. We're talking to Richard Ashcroft in the next half hour. Say hello, Richard.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, we've plenty of time to talk to Richard in the next half hour. Rolling Blackouts, Coastal Fever and Sick Bug and Bowie Life on Mars before that. We're still here in Festival Square at the Manchester International Festival, and as part of Sounds of the City, which is kind of going on at the same time, not technically part of it, but we're all here, gigs at the Castlefield Bowl. Richard Ashcroft is on there tonight, sold out. Always nice to walk out knowing it's sold out, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. Oh, you never know, there might be a couple of walk-up tickets for the interested parties. I'm there with Lee Scratch Perry, the legend tonight, which I think is extraordinary. You know what I mean?
What was that? He's in his 80s now.
I believe so. Yeah, and I think that's yes, it's amazing. And to me, he's like he's a legend of production as well. He brought something that changed not many producers almost invent a genre,
right?
And for dub, Lee Scratch Perry, probably because he was the first with the tape delay in the studio.
Yeah,
and these things were big secrets then. How's he getting that echo? So even on that. In that respect, he's a legend of music making because he created a genre which is almost dub reggae, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So will you be watching him? Will you be on the side of the stage tonight?
Absolutely, yeah.
And you were saying that it kind of, in a kind of sort of heartwarming way, really. You think, well, if he can be doing it till he's in his 80s, then maybe so can I. Yeah,
exactly. It's the lottery of your genes that you've been given, and whether you still got that spirit and that will or the want to create and perform. And I can't see a time where I'm gonna. I thought Johnny Cash brought that home really clearly at the latter part of his life as well. Not only was he releasing some of his most strongest records of his career, which is incredible. He was also, again proving that age can be a state of mind for certain people. They still can produce, because I think we've been brought up in eras where we've often there's this sort of 27, 28 sort of idea about music.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Beatles were 20, that he was 28, that's the time when you're at your artistic zenith. And I don't believe that to be true. I think the older you get, potentially, the more experience, the more empathy you have with different aspects of life, you know what I mean? And I think youthful zest and stuff and aggression and that whole vibe is important, but I also think, I love some of John Lennon stuff when he got older, as much as his younger work, because he was 40 then and he was looking at life in a different way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and when you hear something like Johnny Cash singing Hurt, the age in his voice absolutely is a massive part of that, because you can feel the life he's lived as much as watching the biopic, really, just in that song.
That's so true, yeah, exactly. The voice, the crack in it, the way it's almost mic'd, that record, because of his voice, gives it an even more intense sound with not much on it as well.
Yeah.
And for me, that's one of the finest records of the last 20 years. Hurt.
Yeah,
and it moved me like a lot of people. For me, I actually...
And the video as well, it's heartbreaking.
I saw the both. That was my first time I heard it. I saw the video at the same time, so I was... not many things moved me like to tears, but that definitely had me blubbing, that video, yeah.
You've had a fair innings already, haven't you? I mean, we were just reminiscing. The very first session you ever did was, I think, for our old Radio 5 show. The studio was double booked, so you had to go in a little sort of talk studio. The whole of the, I think you may even have been Verve and not the Verve at that point, wouldn't you?
It was pre the threat of legal action from the record company. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
so we were Verve. We were very fresh, very young, and it was. Did
you do some Pink Floyd that day?
I don't know. I think it just sounded like that.
and I always remember that little studio. It was very full of smoke.
It was full of smoke. Yes. Not much has changed. It's just that I tell you what has changed. The thing is what's great is you get your home studio and you can decide how smoky it is. You know what I mean?
Because you're still a smoker.
I'm still a smoker, but I do seem to be able to. I know Snoop Dogg can bend a few rules in America, and I find that in my own fine country I can bend a few as well when I'm recording.
Yeah.
Because you are paying $1,000 a day sometimes. It's like, come on, I'm sure you can suck this out somehow, you know what I mean?
What's your home studio? Do you spend a lot of time in there on your own, or do you have an engineer who works with you?
Yeah, mix it up. I have an engineer sometimes, or basically on my own. It's just a space to go sit. It's no great shakes, just in the cellar. Anywhere will do. I'm not one of those people who needs a specific environment, really. I don't just close my eyes and get on with it. But yeah, there's more. That's more where the synths and the drum machine sort of experimentation and just enjoying learning different pieces of equipment, you know, in a more of a musical way, you know. And
are you technologically pretty savvy?
Not really. No, I'm good at manipulation through my lack of knowledge, if you understand. So, like in history of music, a lot of things have happened by accident because sometimes equipment gets in the wrong hands, as it were. So a lot of the great samplers and early drum machines were meant for something else.
Yeah.
Until, you know, the lads in Brooklyn or Queens or whatever got hold of them, and then suddenly we have something else out of them. So in that way, I'm quite good like that, manipulating without reading the instructions, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But as far as the techie computer, I've always got, if I have to use Pro Tools, I'll always have someone do that, because I just can't be bothered shopping Christmas trees, because that's what it looks like. I always say, turn that Christmas tree around. Anyone who's worked with Pro Tools will know what I mean, but it just sends these guys goggle-eyed, so that's too much time taking, you know. I'm much more into the construction of the thing in a very basic way for a lot of songs, you know, just with the acoustic or a piano or something like that.
I mean, you went solo, you had a period back. I've just come back from Glastonbury, you know, the sort of second incarnation of the Verve, and you've headlined Glastonbury.
That's right.
You know, are you at this stage in life, do you think you are, you know, happier as a solo artist than being in a band?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's very. You're very fortunate, I think, if you're a band that can last a period of time, and I think you've all got to be heading in the same direction. You've got to have the look that the other people that have been brought into this thing, that's harmonious and they're cool. And I think it's just an impossible situation that at the age of 19 you were already on a chrome bus at 20 years old in America for 6 weeks, you know, doing things that they make, you know, reality TV shows about. Big Brother. You're putting, and I think that's a tragedy, actually. There's a lot of great artists and musicians who are sent over to different countries on unrealistic tours at a young age by people who've never toured, usually, who've never done these miles, never done these distances, also never had that youthful feeling of, actually, I'm not going to bed tonight, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And which is there as a natural thing, but after 6-7 weeks of that, in close confinement, you're going to have friction. And you know, what we used to learn is that everyone lost their mind on the road at one time. No one lost it collectively. Yeah. Everybody seemed to choose a different time to lose all sense of what's going on here.
Could you see it coming after a while? Could you say,
I mean, yeah, it's like it's apocalypse now on the boat. You know, you see the twitching, and so he's gone, you know. But yeah, so I think what people don't realise is that you kind of went through a hell of a lot at a young age, you know, and you had an experience that, you know, can, in a way, was incredible, but also damaged the very essence of what you were. And I think that's just because you're doing unrealistic things, man. You're on a chrome tube for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks.
Yeah.
So, I'm much happier now in that sense that I also don't have that kind of responsibility. It's just me, and I'll take the flack. I'll take the good stuff. And, and get on with my life. I think I can be a lot clearer in what I'm trying to do when I'm on my own as well, because you don't have to compensate for whatever, you know, and that's just the way it goes. So.
And when you were young, and you know, and now, and you know, Kate, who used to be in Spiritualised, your wife for a long time, who have known as just as long as you know. But I mean, you've got that family unit, and you take your kids on the road with you and things like that. So you've got a different sort of support network around you, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I've said before, I found it very bizarre when we had our first child that.
How many kids you got?
Two boys. But when he first arrived and I first got a record out and I was a father, it seemed like not only was that all anyone wanted to talk about, but they kind of wanted to shape it in a semi-negative way, almost like the classic, or the pram in the hallways, the death of artistry, or whatever the phrase is, and all that. Yeah. But they kept hammering that home. Yeah. And I came to the conclusion that it was a bunch of guys who just didn't want to have a kid themselves at that point, and I was supposed to still be living out a fantasy for them.
Yeah.
And it's good now that I'm older, and of course my kids are older, and probably a lot of those people have had kids themselves, and they'll now understand, I wasn't doing anything bizarre. You know? I'm just a heterosexual guy who fell in love, and hey, we've got some kids, and now I've got a family, and I've got to look after them, and I want to be with them. So that's why we travel together when we can, not always, but when we can. And I've not missed many days of their lives, and I find that should be the result, I think, of being a musician, is that you're not the dude who's being told to, he's got to bring the bacon home, but he can't see his kids for 7 days a week, or he's on an oil rig, or he's this, that, and the other. I'm fortunate. I'm in that position. I can make that decision.
Yeah.
So I can make a decision to say bye to my family and not see him for 8 months and go on the road. And a lot of guys do that, but that's their decision.
Yeah.
But I can't see relationships and stuff working that way, you see, for me. Or Kate, or, a lot of people I know, that's the death of the relationship.
Sure.
So I've seen that happen a lot and learned from that, you know what I mean? That to keep it together in this industry, you've got to be together. You can't just say, right, love, I'm off on a 7-week tour in America.
No, indeed, yeah. So where are you up to now? You're obviously playing at Castlefield Bowl tonight.
Castlefield Bowl tonight,
have you got other dates going on?
I've got Brixton Academy tomorrow night.
Right.
With Sean Ryder, Black Rape.
Right, yeah.
Which is fantastic. He did some dates with us a few weeks ago, and his band are absolutely rocking. They're on fire. And then I'm off to a few different European places, culminating in Italy and this, that, and the other. And then I'm back in the studio to record potentially the next album. But I'll tell you what, these people have only scratched the surface of this album, and right now it's on iTunes. It's less than a venti caramel latte. Get your head round that. $3.99. If you ain't got it, press the button.
We're going to hear Black Lines from it. Anyway.
Great.
Say, all right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Lovely to see you.
Nice to see you.
Okay,
Thank you very
cheers.
much, mate.
Who put those black lines?
Well, that is Richard Ashcroft with Black Lines from his 5th studio album called These People, which he was very strongly encouraging you to make an investment in. Cheaper than a caramel latte, he was saying. It's a point worth making, isn't it? And he's sold out gig. He said, I thought there might be a few left if you turn up at Castlefield Bowl tonight as part of Sounds of the City. Then tomorrow he's at Brixton Academy with Sean and Co, as he said. Friday the 7th of July, the Cactus Festival in Bruges, and then he's over to Finland, and today's festival in Torino in Italy on the 26th of August.